Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder, the show is dedicated to building the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing or credit markets one house at a time. Whether you're looking to get a loan to buy your first home, whether you're faced with the prospects of being foreclosed upon and thinking that a short sale might be in your best interest, whatever it may be, please reach out to me at your earliest convenience. It's 877-245-2030. It's 877-245-2030. 877-245-2030. Before we went to break, I was discussing that USDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, that has a rural housing loans, basically loans that are considered in rural areas. And a lot of the times, what you and I might consider rural is not always the case. Like there's certain areas of Prince William County that, there's houses right on top of each other. And then right up the street, one of the streets is considered rural. So it is all over the place. They are now offering streamlined refinances. Now, what that means is this is for people that already have an existing USDA loan. The downfall is the states that are actually eligible for this don't include D.C., Virginia, and or Maryland. But I did want to bring it up on the show because I know we have a lot of listeners across the country that are streaming. So if you are in one of these 19 states, Alabama, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, and Tennessee, you are eligible for a streamlined USDA refinance if you meet the following criteria. Number one, it's your primary residence only, so you're acting as if this is your primary residence. You've made the last 12 months payments on time, and it's only eligible for people that already have existing 30-year terms on their loans. And the last thing is that your mortgage rate must be 1% below what your current rate is. If you meet those criteria, then you might be eligible for the streamlined refinance. It's supposedly going to help roughly 235,000 people. Now, Lewis, you and I talk all the time. Most of the time, it doesn't help, but probably a tenth of that. It's just
the politician who makes the announcement.
Exactly. It's going to give somebody, some good press for the day. We'll find out a year later that there was probably, 20,000 people that actually was eligible and qualified for this. But while, I feel like it's a small amount of people that would be helped, I still think it's important to get the information out there.
You could be the person that's helped.
Yes,
to look at it.
Absolutely. Even if it's 1 in 10, you might be that one. So I do, if you have a USDA loan, then it's important that you reach out. And like I said, I'd be glad to see if you're eligible, if anything else, and I can point you in the right direction. It's 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. So, Lewis, I've had a lot of questions. We were talking about short sales quite a bit lately, and I've had a lot of listeners emailing in their questions in regards to short sales and what they feel like, is it okay to buy a short sale? And, more from buyers than sellers. A lot of the sellers really understand this process now. There was an article in the KCM blog that basically said that short sales will increase dramatically in 2012 and that it could be the year of the short sale. I tend to definitely agree with this. Finally, the banks have actually taken the approach that it makes sense to short sale a home versus take that all the way through the foreclosure process where they inevitably will probably lose about 20%. And, with that being said, with that lawsuit that was just passed, the $25 billion with the big banks for all the mortgage servicing errors that they have and had in the past, it's going to make more and more sense for them moving forward to not even get involved in the foreclosure process so that there's less attorneys that might have to get involved afterward to make sure that they actually followed the specific protocol that was necessary to foreclose on a property. It's interesting because they actually had some comments from some different online websites, one of which was Market Watch, which addressed the short sale situation as Fitch expects the increase in short sales to continue because of the potential benefits afforded to both lenders and borrowers. Some borrowers may prefer short sales because, though they cannot stay in the property, they often walk away with cash incentives from lenders and healthier credit reports unmarred by foreclosure. For lenders, short sales provide a more efficient and cheaper alternative to the increasingly lengthy and costly foreclosure process. Now, this sounds like basic common sense to you and I, but it's taken banks forever to get to this point. I would say 3 or 4 years too late. And I will say for people that are looking to buy foreclosures that it's a definite opportunity to still get a property a little bit below what the market value is, although you have to be willing to sit back and wait.
And HomeGain has some information on short sales and satisfaction amongst those who bought short sales. You want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it, Lewis.
All right. So HomeGain did a home ownership satisfaction survey to find out which homeowners were most satisfied or whether they weren't satisfied at all. And we asked the question of new homeowners, existing homes, those who bought foreclosures, and those who bought short sales. And guess where the most satisfied new homeowners are? With the short sales. 83% of people who purchased a short sale are very satisfied with their purchase of their home.
I would tend to think that would be the case.
Well, it's higher than overall. The number was 72%, which shows that home ownership is still popular.
Yep.
People who buy homes are still satisfied. But I guess it's the idea of getting a bargain in a short sale. And I guess you have to have some tenacity.
Yeah.
I guess it tastes better once you finally get your home because of the bank delays. But 83% versus 72% overall.
Yeah, well, I just had a transaction just recently.
Excuse me. So that means that there's demand on the consumer side, and the bank should take note of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just had a deal that's probably actually closing today. About 6 months ago is when we actually started the process. They were buying this property. The initial offer we made was $280. Bank took about 6 months to come back. Finally, they came back and they said, we can't do $280, but we can do $290. I knew it was still a deal. The property ended up appraising for about $315. So they got about $25,000 in built-in equity there. It was worth the wait. Now, a lot of people are like, well, what happens if rates move? What if they increase over the next 6 months? I mean, that can be the gamble that you take there. However, if you're able to get a discount, that steep of a discount, it might be worth it. Now, not all short sales are done that way. Some of them are more towards, they're priced more towards the market value, and it depends on what the existing seller's liens are. They might have 2 liens, a first and a second, and one might be Bank of America, one Wells Fargo, and there can't be a meeting of the minds between Bank of America and Wells Fargo. That deal either doesn't go through or they end up wanting a lot more money, and the deal falls through anyway. The important thing is with working with short sales is working with somebody that understands them, and that they make sure that the other agent that's handling it on the other end understands them. Lewis, I would say that the biggest downfall in agents that are trying to do short sales is they really don't have a firm grasp on what they're supposed to be doing with them.
They better nowadays because that's where a lot of the action currently is and will be in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, I would venture to say, the statistics are mind-boggling. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, there are nearly 3.5 million homeowners delinquent on their mortgage by at least 1 month, including 1.5 million who are 90 days or more behind on paying their mortgage. And there are 12.5 million homeowners still who are underwater owing more than their mortgage than their home is worth. So what this suggests to me is that this is going to be a problem that's here to stay for a long time.
And an opportunity for homeowners who want to get out from under their mortgages and for home buyers who want to get a good deal.
Absolutely.
And for the banks to clear their inventory.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really a win-win situation for the first-time home buyer out there, or for somebody that I always say that, you could be upside down in a home right now, but be able to, you want to get into another home because you're ready to move up, but you can't sell this current home, but you can rent it and close to be break even. Well, you can almost hedge your bet if you can qualify to support that payment, that current payment, and be able to buy a new one at, sub 4% interest rates, depending upon your qualifications, to be able to hedge against that bad bet or other real estate deal that you had that didn't go so well by buying in at sub 4% interest rates. I mean, you locking in your long-term costs there and really offset some of the negative equity that you have going on in your other home. If you were to hold on to that other home, I mean, I think that a lot of those homes are still financed, probably interest rates around 5 to 6%, which still isn't that bad. I tell people all the time that if you're actually looking to invest in real estate, then you have to be able to handle that for the long haul. This isn't something where you buy a home and you sell it next year. There's definitely those opportunities out there, and I've worked with investors that have a very keen eye for being able to say, this property is going to bring me in a 10% cash flow. Where else can I get that in the market? Well, they probably can't find that too many places in the market, so it makes sense for them, especially with interest rates being so low. There's for the first time home buyer out there, I can't think of a better time than right now, especially with rising rents, to be able to, if you can qualify, to see what you can get qualified for, to see what your payment would be. If anything else, that's the best place to start is just knowing exactly what your options are. A lot of people just think that it's just, I don't think my credit's that great. I don't think I'm going to qualify for a mortgage, so I have to rent. Well, that's not the case. More times than not, I tend to find people that where we first start, they may not be able to purchase like the next day, but in a month or two they can.
Got to examine your options, right?
Yeah, and I think that what happens is a lot of the information that's given out there on the internet, it's not correct. It's not accurate. Everybody's situation is completely different. If I just made a blanket statement on the air about who I thought would qualify, I would probably be knocking out 50% of the people that I actually work with, Lewis. I mean, I just don't know until I see all the facts. A lot of the time, the further that I dig with the person to find out everything that's behind, their credit, their job, and all that, and I can piece it together, and you have more of a storyline, and it makes sense, and you can get credit fixed, they can get into a home in 6 months or less.
Got to determine the facts and circumstances of everyone's case.
Yeah.
Whether they can qualify, whether it makes sense. They got to talk to a professional mortgage broker and a professional realtor.
Absolutely. I mean, I know, and one of the places that a lot of people are listening throughout the country, you guys offer a great service, Lewis, for people that are looking to connect with real estate agents. Explain to our listeners exactly how that works.
Okay, so HomeGain has a program that enables you to search and find and compare a realtor that will suit your purposes, and you can do that anonymously by going to HomeGain.com and clicking on the left box that asks you to find and compare realtors. You fill out a short profile explaining what you're trying to achieve in finding a realtor, whether you're a buyer or a seller, and you put your facts and circumstances down, and then realtors that we've selected, they will respond to you anonymously and tell you not only why they deserve the business, but how they're going to help you buy or sell a home. If it sounds attractive to you, what they're saying, you can ask follow-up questions. They won't know who you are. They will just be able to respond within the HomeGain system anonymously. And when you eventually have found one that's impressed you enough, then you can finally give them your contact details, or you can call them. And this way, you get to compare realtors instead of just picking the first one you meet or relying on a reference of a relative. You can get a realtor who's actually made a proposal specifically to get your business based on what you've told the realtor your goals are.
Yeah, that's great, Lewis. I definitely recommend people check that out at HomeGain.com. We're coming up on a break. When we come back, we're going to discuss an article that was in SmartMoney.com on why U.S. house prices won't recover, and I'll let you know what I think about that when we come back.